Well, hello. Hey, Dr.
Hello.
Shawn. How are
How are
you?
you, Coach Passion?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. I'm
Good.
glad it's cooling off
Oh,
down
yeah.
here.
hmm Well, yeah. I'm glad it's cooling off down here too, because
Yes,
the heat be unbearable at times. Oh
yes.
my gosh, you can't do nothing to get cool,
No, you
But
just want to run to your car for the air condition, run to the building for the air condition, and
that's
call
it.
it a day.
That's it. That's it. And we have such a great show tonight.
Yes,
Tonight
we
we
do.
yes, we got some dynamic speakers coming out in a few minutes, and we're going to tackle alopecia. It's embracing alopecia, unmasking the beauty within. So alopecia, for our listeners who may or may not know, alopecia is an autoimmune condition that leads to hair loss on the scalp and sometimes other parts of the body. The psychological effects of alopecia can be significant and may affect a person's mental health in various ways.
Yes.
So that's what alopecia is. That's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk with um, author Dannie Dee and Dr. Alicia Hosey, and we just going to unwrap this whole thing. And so, are you ready for Shawn's letter?
No, not tonight. I know that we have a great show planned, but I think that before we get into the show, September is National Suicide Awareness Month. So I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that and also just let us talk about it for a minute. But before we get into that too much, can we bring our guest on?
Yes, yes. Okay. Coming to the stage is author Dannie Dee and Dr. Alicia Hosey. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
Hello,
you.
ladies. Hello. How are you?
We're doing just
Good.
fine.
We're
How are
doing
you?
great.
Fantastic.
Loving the blue, ladies. Loving the blue.
I
Thank
know,
Thank
you.
right?
Thank
you.
you.
We
Thank
didn't
you.
get the, and they both have on like this shades of royal. We didn't get the memo.
I know. Well, for those of you that don't know, blue is, well, the blue ribbon is for alopecia awareness.
Yes.
And so
Alopecia.
that's appropriate. We should have known that.
Yeah.
Yes. I
But
mean,
you know, I'm gonna say I knew.
The dark blue.
you got on blue?
You look good, girl. You look good, girl.
Look, I'm not
I
even
have on
going
the
to try
wrong
to
color
pull up
blue.
my
I'm just
blue.
I'm just clowning a little bit. But anyway, now getting back to a serious topic. And when we were talking about suicide, so many times people get to the point of feeling there is nothing else they can do in their life. They're just hopeless. They feel like the only solution is to take their lives. And so I just wanted to take a moment and talk about that and how we as a community, but also in society, we think that topic is so taboo. And all it takes some is to just say, "Are you okay?"
Mm.
Kevin, oh my gosh, Gates. If I said his name wrong, please, viewers, forgive me. But he was going to jump. Well, he actually did jump off of a very high bridge. And
Mm.
he said that the whole day, as people were walking past him, he was waiting for someone to just ask him if he was okay. He
Mm.
survived, but the reality is how many people don't survive. And so we're afraid sometimes of the answer that somebody will give us if we say, "Are you okay? What's going on?" But sometimes that's all they need is to hear that somebody cares. And I know one of my friends said that she kept feeling like she needed to tell this lady, she was in a store, that God loved her. She was like, "I don't
Mm.
know this lady. I don't know her. I don't know this lady." And she said she would not tell her. And then eventually, some kind of way, they wind up again in each other's face. And she said, "Lord, why this lady in my face?" And then she said to her, "God loves you." And the lady bust out crying and said,
Mm.
"I was going home to kill myself.
Mm.
Oh my
Thank you
goodness.
so much for
Oh my
telling me
God.
that. And my friend just fell to pieces because we just don't know who we encounter. So I want to take a moment and just remember those and honor those people who have died by suicide, and also the family that is left behind as the survivors to deal with that major loss.
That's right.
Okay. Lastly, I would like to just say that if anybody is if you're having bad thoughts, hard thoughts, suicidal thoughts, or you know somebody who may be experiencing those thoughts, I want you all to please call 988 or reach out and call your local 911. Remember, it is so important to save a life. And you may not think people will miss you or want you or want to see you again, but they will. And believe me, no matter what it feels like, it's not that bad. And your family will forget about whatever argument you had if you just let them know what's going on. So just reach out for help. And remember, help is not a bad four letter word.
That's right. That's right. Thank you.
But we have a great show. Ready? And take it over, Coach Passion.
Okay, so as we said, we have two very dynamic speakers. We're going to let Dr. Alicia Hosey tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about herself, and then we're going to let author Dannie Dee tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about this about herself, and then we'll get all into
Alopecia.
embracing alopecia. Dr. Alicia Hosey, would you like to share with our listeners and viewers?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you, ladies, for having me.
You're
It's my
welcome.
pleasure to be here today. Um, the name of my company is AGH Financial Solutions, and I've been doing financial things for about 15 years now. Um, what it involves is any small business, or I also help people with their personal credit, business credit. Um, I teach businesses how to set up properly and how to obtain funding. And those are the main things that I do.
Okay, so you want to tell us a little bit about, well, no, we'll get back to that. Sorry, author Dannie Dee, you want to tell our listeners and viewers something about yourself?
Well, but first of all, good evening,
Good
life, love,
evening.
and all the above listeners and viewers. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Dannie Dee. I do a few things. One of the things I am happy to say, I love being on podcasts. Hint, hint. Look at this one. Yes, I am a podcast host. I'm also actually co-hosting a podcast myself called What She Said, and we'll talk more about that later. Also, I have written a book recently,
Yes.
and it is an
Yay!
anthology, is an Amazon bestseller called Seeing Myself in Her Story. I am so excited about that. I wrote that book with 48, well, 47 other fabulous, fabulous ladies, and we're so excited about what God is doing. Public speaker. I'm a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I attend a wonderful church. I'm a deacon at my church, so I wear a lot of hats. I am a mom, uh, a quasi empty nester. My youngest one just went off to college, and I am a public speaker. I am available to speak on domestic violence, alopecia, motherhood, and so many other topics. And if you would like to find me, you can do so on Facebook at Dannie D. Riley. That's DANNIE. I am on I am on TikTok. I am on Instagram. I'm on Threads under Divine Connections 7. That's Divine Connections with a Z 7. And if you do email, I'm divineconnections7@gmail.com. So thank
Okay.
you so much, ladies. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. And we, of course, we love having you.
Yeah.
We're excited. Okay. So, alopecia.
Yeah.
How old? How old were you when you were diagnosed with alopecia?
I was 24.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I was around about that. Because it was 2001 is when I first started to see it. So it was definitely my early 20s.
Early 20s. Okay. When prior to being diagnosed with alopecia, um, I'm quite sure, were you very familiar with what it was, or did it come as a surprise? I mean, were you like
It
sick
was
for a while?
very shocking for me. I had never actually heard that word until I started having problems. Um, I My hair was my glory, as everybody says, and I had a lot of hair, and it was beautiful. That type of hair that everybody wants. I had that hair, and when the problem started, I started with those little, um, quarter size, just hair missing, and I didn't notice it for a long time, but I did notice maybe the texture of my hair changed, and it became very brittle to the point where I could just pull my hair and it would literally just come out,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Wow.
I never in a million years thought all of your hair is going to come out eventually, and I was able to do the little comb over for a long time where nobody would notice. But eventually, I started going to my hairdresser saying, hey, I'm having some type of problem, what's going on? And so she said, well, you just need to come and get some hot oil treatments. So I started going every week getting those hot oil treatments, and finally, I would say probably in about 4 months, you could definitely see that, my hair was coming out. And so she was the first person that said that word to me. She said, I think you have alopecia. And I said, well, what is that? And she said, it's when your hair comes out. Because I had never heard the word and I didn't know anybody that had alopecia.
Right.
So, she said, what I think you should do is go to see a dermatologist. So I said, okay. So I went to see the dermatologist, and he definitely diagnosed me with that. And then the next thing they wanted to do was send me to an endocrinologist. And I went through that for months, and they couldn't figure out why this happened. Why is this happening? But after doing my own research, I found out that there's no rhyme or reason. And I actually have the most severe. I have alopecia universalis, so I don't have any hair anywhere on my body. And
Oh.
yeah, it was very devastating. I was okay until my eyelashes started coming out.
That's
When
what
my
Oh.
I remember that.
eyelashes started coming out, then that's when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna lose all my hair. Why is this happening to me? And it was very devastating. And I have a very loving and supportive family, and my friends. I actually ended up staying in the bed for about 3 months, just
Mm.
questioning God, why is this happening to me? Have I done something? I think I'm being punished for something. But eventually I did get out the bed. I had a couple of friends that were persistent, and they were like, no, you have to get out of the bed. You have to get out of
Mhm.
the bed. You have to do something. This is not the end of the world that you've lost your hair. And I'm thinking, well, that's easy for y'all to say. You all still have your hair.
Mm.
No one
Right,
knows what I'm
exactly.
going
We
through.
can't relate to it.
Right. So it was a very difficult time. But as time went on, then I had to go through, oh, I'm going to have to wear a wig. Wigs weren't popular then. you know, because I'm not the type of person that would just go with no hair. I see a lot of beautiful women do it. I have people that tell me I can pull it off, but to me, that feels like me going outside naked.
Oh,
So I've tried it one day and I immediately said, no, this is not for me. This is not for me. So, but over time, I've turned those lemons into lemonade, and now, I mean, I have a wig collection out of this world.
okay.
So much
As
so,
she
so I have a
does.
wig closet. I have a wig closet in my house, and it's I did realize, after some years that it's not the end of the world because you don't have hair. Um, but it's been quite an interesting experience.
Okay.
Thank you for
Danny.
sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, mine is a little bit, I'm so excited, Dr. Hosey, that you got a grip on that from a biological and a medical standpoint. But I did not do that as early as you did. So mine was a little different. Now, I just want to give a little background. I came up in the 70s, 80s, where you were getting a super perm in the 80s every 6 weeks.
Mm,
A super, literally, not a mild perm, but a super
super.
perm at the hairdresser every week. They tell you
Mhm.
don't scratch your hair, don't scratch your hair, and of course your hair was itching, and you even if you did it with the little rat tooth comb,
Yeah.
you got that
Hmm.
perm, your hair is on fire, and they like, oh, you can't rinse it
Mhm.
out, or it's not gonna be straight. And you had all
Yeah.
these little scabs in your head, and you're trying to wait until those heal, and then Easter came around sometimes, and you get the burnt ear and the hot press with the hot oil. What do they call it?
That's right now. Come
Imperial
on.
Impress oil, the one that was in a red jar with green writing, right? And all of that tension, or either you got the braids, and of course, I loved braids. Okay, so you talking about having all these different styles, pulling on your hair, pulling it this way up in a ponytail, pulling it back, going straight to the side. Everybody in the 80s had the side ponytail. Don't y'all play with me.
Yeah.
Side
I
ponytail,
remember that. Side
basket weave,
ponytail, girl.
okay, right? And so I thought when I first started seeing, and as I got older, start wearing weaves, right? Yeah, the crochets and all of that, the weave. Don't forget the glue now. Everybody, don't get cute now that we got these HD wigs and all that, and the glue is.
Right, right.
We had some track glue in your hair, all over your hair, and then I found one conditioner where to help it to slide out when you get ready to take your hair out. So when I first started noticing hair loss, I started thinking, man, okay, let me stop getting my braids so tight because it's pulling on that. Okay, now I
Mhm.
still see it coming out, and shedding every time. And my mom used to say when I was taking out my braids, why when you brush your hair, why is there so much hair in your brush? And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, well, it's been braided for 5 weeks, 6 weeks. It's just dead hair. But I mean, it would be like balls and balls and balls and balls of hair. And because I had long hair, I was just thinking, okay, it'll grow back. But then I started noticing that, okay, it's thinner, it's this, it's that, small little things. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it stopped being harder to hide. It's like, okay, now I need to put the track here instead of where it was just right there. Okay, now I can't get a braid right there. So now I need to figure out a different style. And I went into this isn't happening to me mode. I didn't go to, okay, let me go to the doctor, figure out what's going on. I shut down like emotionally, like what the heck? I'm in my 20s. I want to be married one day and I'm vibrant. I'm not old. Hair loss is supposed to be for grandmas and grandpas that got the comb over, not me at 25, 26, 27, right? And then I will have a little boyfriend here and there, and they would start saying, I've never seen your hair out. Like we've been kicking it for like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 a year. I never seen your hair out. And it's like, you say one thing about my hair, like, don't do it. Like, we are not going to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. My mom was like, I think you don't nobody talk about my hair. I don't want to talk about it, period. Because I didn't know how to deal with that.
Mhm.
Right. And I became a mom and still going on about life, and wigs started being popular, and it got to a point where I couldn't do braids now because any little pull, I could be scratching my hair and hair fell out. Right. So I'm like, I don't want anything doing anything to my hair. No shampoo, no nothing. And I went into this quiet depression about it. Because guess what? You can talk to your friends about it. They're in their 20s, doing whatever with their hair, wearing it out. They going to the pool. And see, what people don't understand is like all these things start giving you anxiety. Going to the pool, going to, and I love roller coasters. Do you know how much anxiety I had when everybody's like, yeah, Kings of Me? I'm like, wait a minute. That don't necessarily, and I'm a roller coaster girl, right? So I start having all of these anxieties and just suffering in silence, right? Suffering in silence. And I'm going to say, because this is, like I said, this has been going on with me for over 20 years. So, I mean, I finally got to the point where I started thinking, well, maybe it's hereditary. Maybe it's on my father's side of the family and doing that. And eventually went to a dermatologist, but I have some horror stories about that. It's like, okay, you go to the dermatologist and they like, oh yeah, we can clear that up. You just got to start getting injections. I'm like, oh, injections in the arm, no problem. They like, no, in the area. I'm like, injection in my scalp? Are you serious? And they're like, yeah, we're very serious. I'm like, well, no, I can't do that. So I went to another dermatologist and he had, I'm going to call it a blowtorch because that's what it looked like to me. Liquid nitrate or something. He's like, oh yeah, we'll put this on your scalp and all that. I'm like, are they kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? I can't believe that I'm doing this in my early 30s, having all this done, right? So it was just like dermatologist after dermatologist, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I just need to get with a great hairstylist that specializes in alopecia, and they'll give me, some shampoo. And I did the biotin shampoo and the garlic oil, everything. You should see the type of stuff that I have put on my hair because I Googled it. I've gone to a dermatologist. I've gone to a hair salon. It was so bad for me that I found someone who specialized in it, and she had all these products, but she could only do my hair. I had to be the last client where she would shut the shop down for me. I would be in a full blown, how you come and you call them up and say, hey, do you have any appointments? This is my time frame. Can you meet that? And what do the stylist say? Okay, come on down and let me take a look at it because I can't give you a price or whatever. Honey, I'm going down there almost in all black with a bag over my head, like sliding over the wall, peeking around, seeing who's going to see me go in here because I can't bear for anybody to see this but her. Right. And I'm on here talking about my story because there are millions. Let me just give you a statistic real quick before I finish. This is a statistic. 1/3 of women experience hair loss at some point in their lives. Right. And I'm not just talking about, oh, it's in the brush falling out. I mean, like, it's a situation.
Oh, it definitely is.
It could be hormonal. It could be so many things that contribute to this. But here it is, because I have a child in my family that suffers from it. 1 in every 1,000 children and teens experience hair loss. So just think about that. What they go through with bullying and something going on with your hair. It looks like you have a disease, and it really is an autoimmune disease, but we'll get there. 30 to 50% of men experience alopecia by the age of 50. Now it is acceptable to be bald. You like, ladies are like, yes, girl, you got a bald head. It's on and clean. But in the 80s and early 90s, that was embarrassing for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you saw the men where it's like, you have the
bozo,
a toupee, you have it's bald here, shiny here, you're trying to comb it over. So you don't understand the emotional damage that does to a person, not just women, men, children going through this.
Yes.
So I gave that statistic so you can know that it's not just women being extra and there's a little bit of hair. And I want to talk to all the men that could be watching this too. Like, be sensitive if you know that a woman in your life, mother, sister, wife, child's mother, whomever, is going through this, because it's serious, and how you want to deal with that. So yeah, I even remember one time I had a home stylist, because I went through all of this in 20 years, and she would come over and do my hair, and guess what? I was in my home, she could see my hair, I trusted her, and she was doing my hair, found some natural styles, start pinning it up in a certain way that didn't show the areas. And one day she told me she was going to nursing school. I was like, oh, that's so nice, whatever. She said, yeah, so I'll still be coming over doing your hair, but we'll probably just have to, kind of work between that. Right. And one day I called this lady to get my hair done, and her number was disconnected.
Ooh.
I went into full-blown anxiety. Full-blown anxiety. I'm like, who am I going to get to even look at my hair now? I'm ashamed. My husband doesn't know that I'm going through this. My kids don't know that I'm going through this. My mother doesn't know. Nobody. I was like in this. If you ever had an MRI, that tight space, and they ask you, are you claustrophobic? That is what I have lived in for 20 years, right? Feeling unattractive. What does the word of God say? Your hair is your glory. Not that you idolize it, but it's just saying it's very important, right? And society has made it important, like, right?
Yes.
Men want women with long hair, and you turned on by all this, hair and even shortcuts or whatever. I can't even get a shortcut because it's like, it ain't there, period. You know what I'm saying? It's not there, period. So it's a lonely road. It is a lonely road, although there is help where you don't have to walk alone. And I'm glad that, again, Dr. Hosey tried to get some medical attention, and it is important to go the medical route so that you can have the blood test, biopsy if you need. Sometimes it calls for a follicle biopsy for you really to understand what's going on. Knowing your medical family history is important. All of these things come together. And also sometimes there's acceptance, because Dr. Hosey said, I did this, that, and it's gone. And so how are you going to deal with it now?
Yeah.
So I've been hearing a debate. Like, some things I read says it is a cure. Like, you can use this and you can use this, and hair can eventually grow back. And then some things I have been reading says there is no cure. So is it a certain type of alopecia that can be cured or not cured, or what?
So let me read this a little bit. Okay, where it says types of alopecia. Alopecia areata, which is what I have, is called patchy. And that's when you get, remember, Dr. Hosey was talking about those coin size oval where it's patchy, right? So even when you said hair grow back, just imagine this patch might have grown back a little bit, because grow back could mean fuzzy. Grow back doesn't necessarily mean to your shoulder.
Okay.
Right? Or some of it could grow to your shoulder, but around the front and the sides are patchy with fuzz there. So you're still in the same predicament as if it's not there. Some is like literally like your skin on your arm, in the inside of your arm. It's there and it's not growing back. The hair follicle has died. So you have that. You also have alopecia areata totalis, right? And that is total hair loss across the entire scalp. So when you see women, sometimes they've had cancer treatments, and some, their hair grows back, some it does not grow back, right? Or you see men with bald heads and you can see the skin, like there's no hair follicle. You can't see any of the hair follicle.
Right.
That's totalis, like that's what it is. And then Dr. Hosey was talking about alopecia universalis, results in hair loss across the entire body. And so normally you can see some differences with different treatments, but it's not, and some people have, I won't say for everybody, but for a lot of women, and I'm saying women because I haven't followed men through this process necessarily, but well, you have, because now you see men with the beards, and you can see they're dyeing their hair, and they
Mhm.
have little hair fibers that you could put on there, like
Yeah.
Right,
look
right.
like hair,
Mhm.
because that means your real hair is never coming back, right?
Right.
And so, but sometimes it is lack of iron, sometimes it is lack of vitamin D, sometimes it is hereditary, sometimes it could be hormonal. I know a lot of women see it in um, menopause or postmenopause phases because your hormones are doing something different. So there's a myriad of reasons why you could be experiencing hair loss. It could be the tension on your hair or things that you're eating. Diet has something to do with it as well. That's why you have to do your own personal research on your body and have a medical team to try to help you discover what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
As well as illness, right?
I'm
So
sorry.
as well as illness, I heard,
Yeah,
like
illnesses, yeah,
different and
medications.
medication.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, so that, like I said, there's a myriad of reasons, but at the crux of that is still, no matter what you're, even when you discover the reason, unless your hair is fully restored, you know, there's a lot of emotional
Yes.
pain that comes
Yeah.
with that.
I was,
Yeah, I
I
was
was,
Mhm.
just going to
Yeah,
mention that. I was
yeah,
going to
yeah.
mention that because I've had people come to me and say, um, you know, I think you need to try this. Or they got, look at this. I'm gonna send you this article. People used to do that, send me information. But I think maybe they don't realize I've accepted my condition.
Mhm.
I don't even want to try any of those things because why would I put myself through that if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
I've had it so long until I'm this is my life. This is who I am. I look at hair now as an accessory, like a piece of
Right.
jewelry or something, you know.
Yes.
It just kind of depends on what I'm doing. I got hair when I'm working out. I got hair for I'm going to the grocery store. I got hair for church. So it's just a piece of accessory for me now.
Right. I think society has placed too much emphasis on cosmetic, the outside appearance and not
Yeah.
the inside. So we grow up with this image of what we feel is beautiful, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's to say that you don't have hair does not make you any less beautiful, right?
No. Hmm.
And we were talking like the movie Black Panther. The
Hmm.
army, the
It was
Yeah.
women,
so
all
pretty.
women, they all bald headed, nice, shiny, and them women were beautiful. You hear
Yeah.
me? They
Beautiful.
Yeah.
was beautiful,
They were beautiful.
and I'm sorry, you all had to endure that, but I know what it's like to deal with an autoimmune disease. And Telly, to answer your question, I would think that if it's an autoimmune disease, like as with other ones, that sometimes it can go in remission, and if it goes in remission, it might allow your hair to grow back. If it's in remission, could is that possible?
Well, yeah, you got to watch that word grow, right? Again,
Right,
um, grow for me, and see, I don't have problem with length because my hair can grow long,
right,
but if it's super thin at the top, it's like,
right.
I
Mhm.
thank God for every strand I have left. But when you say grow, when the average person with alopecia says grow, they want their hair to grow back. They want it to grow back to where
Where
it
it used to be.
was, like
Mhm.
complete restoration.
Okay.
I all my hair follicles are functioning like it was before this ordeal began. And sometimes that's just not going to happen. Or like you said, Dr. Hosey, sometimes it's like you're emotionally drained with this. This is I
Yeah.
sometimes I treat my hair treatments like a book. I might read a chapter, one, two, three. Then I'm like, okay, I had enough of this book for right now. I need to put the book down. Um,
Mhm.
or I've been eating chicken for 3 days. I don't want to eat chicken anymore. I want to eat this right now because it's a lot. It's not just setting appointments and knowing why you're going is exhausting.
Right,
It's
right.
Yeah.
exhausting. Um, Hearing your treatment options are exhausting. It can get expensive because let me tell you, those injections in your head are not free. And you have to go, quite frequently for several weeks. And then they're saying, oh, so here's a prescription for that. Put this on your hair. Make sure you use this biotin shampoo, this garlic, da, 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 da. It gets expensive. And if you don't keep that regimen up, you might start seeing a difference for a little bit. But then you might get exhausted with the regimen that you have to do. And you're like, you know what? Right, not right now, especially while life is life, and then I have all these other things I have to deal with, and I'm not getting the result, which is full restoration of my hair from this. So you know what? I'm not dealing with that right now. I'll go online. I'm like you, Dr. Hosey. My closet is full of different kind of wigs and viewers. You run this tape back, you run all these episodes back, you're gonna see me with a blue, purple, orange, gold, whatever. And I do it just like an accessory too. I see my outfit, I'm like, okay, I'm wearing this. Let me get this color because that works with that, whatever. And you just manage it. You manage it better doing it that way.
Okay. So how old, so when did you finally feel comfortable enough or you accepted the condition that you were able to let your husband know and your mom know and all of those that your friends and family know what was going on?
I can't even say that I fully have been that open. It's still like a real sensitive subject because as soon as I might have my hair, I've gotten to the point where I would just have my little stocking cap on sometimes and you can see through it. But the one time you say, you washing your hair, don't say nothing. Don't say anything because it's still right there under the surface for me, right? Don't say anything. Just let it be. Just let it be. That's how I can be sometimes.
Okay, so and I was listening to you and I heard you mention the emotional strain of it all and the anxiety, the social anxiety.
Yes.
What did you do? How did you deal with the emotional piece of it?
I mean, it's
Wait,
a lot
so
of prayer.
before
Okay.
we go to that question, can we allow Dr. Hosey to tell us when did she feel comfortable like embracing?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
Mhm.
I understand we're used to having one person.
um, gosh, that's a difficult question because I think I went through a whole lot of stuff medically. And
Mhm.
so finally, went to see another endocrinologist, and he sat me down and he said, "Alicia, um, I just want to be very upfront with you. I don't think you should continue letting people take your money
Mm.
because there is no cure
Mhm.
for the condition that you have." He said, "I'm not trying to hurt you or do anything." He said, "But I do want to be honest with you. You have alopecia. You are an attractive lady. I think you should just buy you some wigs and move on with your life." He said, "I'm going to tell you something. If I had to pick a condition to have, it would be alopecia. You don't feel sick. You don't look sick." And he said, "I know that's easy for me to say, but I just want you to put things in perspective. Your life is not over because you don't have hair." And I cried a little bit after he told me that. And I thought about it. I didn't repeat that to anyone. But I would say maybe in about 3 months after that,
Mhm.
I was okay. I was okay with it because everything he said to me was true. But I was still for a long time searching for a cure. And Danny, you mentioned the injections. They wanted to do that to me too, but I immediately said no.
Mhm.
No, I'm not going to put myself through that.
Right.
Whew.
Yeah.
So are the injections were they like Botox maybe something like that or it's just another type of
It is a series of medications that they put into your scalp
Into
in
your
the
scalp,
affected
yeah.
yes, the affect
and it's
the
to
affect
help the hair follicles
to
to
stimulate the hair
To
follicles.
stimulate the
stimulate
hair.
them, yeah.
Attempt to anyway to
Okay.
attempt to stimulate the hair follicles.
Okay. So uh, so we can both from Dr. Alicia and Danny, the emotional aspect of it. You were starting in. we kind of stopped you so Dr. Alicia could answer when the question when she
Yeah.
was embraced
A
it
lot
in.
of prayer, right? I mean, a lot of prayer. I know for me, I am definitely sold out on Jesus Christ. He is my personal Lord and Savior. And I had to just get my word and just remind myself of who He said I was, right? Because if you do not know who you are, the world will tell you a whole bunch of things about
Yes.
Right.
yourself that are untrue, that are untrue. So I still to this day, hunker down on those scriptures that He would never leave me nor forsake me. I am
Yeah,
engraved in the palm of His hand.
that's
You know,
right.
He in Zephaniah, He's talking about singing over me. You know, He wants to be my friend. How the Holy Spirit is my helper. And you know, even when I don't feel it, I read it, and it's like I have to feel about me the way the Lord feels about me. You know,
That's
He
right.
says that love Him, love yourself, and then love others. And I also had to, because it was a dichotomy for me as well, because I'm like, am I really accepting this because I wear wigs? And it's like, yeah, I mean, your wigs are your wigs. And I have worn my hair out before when I'm in my yes, I'm so confident about this. And you know, I've cut my hair all off and worn it outside before. But that still does not define me just because I'm wearing the wigs,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah,
It still doesn't
exactly.
define me. He has defined me, period.
Okay.
Exactly.
But you
So
know
that's
what?
my truth.
Sometimes it's about how you carry yourself in the situation,
Yeah.
because people now they almost kind of like, okay, let's see what wig she gonna have on today now.
I know, right?
And so many women
Yeah.
have come to me privately. I'll go to functions, and maybe we may have seen each other, or Facebook, or wherever they've seen me, and they, can I talk to you for a minute? Like you said, it's the silent struggle that a
Yeah.
lot of women go through. You kind of don't just talk about it. You know what I mean? It's just something that's unspoken. But a lot of women have the condition, and they say, well, how do you deal with that? And I wish I could be like you. And you'll have on all different kind, short, long braids, twists. Like, this is a twisted. Once I went to get a wig made, and when I got to the place, I had this kind of thing on, and this is something I kind of created myself with the twist. And so I had my hair up, and when I got ready to get my wig measured for my wig, the lady at the wig place said, "Girl, I promise you that looks like your hair. I would have never known that was a wig." And I said, "I have really gotten to be a professional with this thing. I
Yeah.
really have." Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
So
I know, and the reason I was asking about medication and that kind of thing, because I don't have a diagnosis of alopecia, but I do know what it feels like when you're put on a medicine and your hair thins, or your hair starts shedding and coming out, and then
mhm.
you're like, because I already now, so let's just tell the truth. I didn't like my hair even before medicine started shedding it, because it was soft and fine. And
Mm-hmm.
so it would, you know how you saw those commercials way back when that said, I went out in the, I did all this time doing my hair, and then I went out and it just swole, and then you
Mhm.
look like you didn't have a style. So that was like the epitome of my hair. Like, ooh, so why wear it? It was like, so I always kind of ran and gravitated towards weave and wigs and that kind of thing also. But when I received my diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, and they put me on medication, it changed the grade of my hair, and then it also thinned. um so I know that with that part of it, I can understand what you all are going through, as far as me saying, oh gosh. And it is psychological, because the reality is I never really wore my hair. So now,
Yeah.
why does it matter?
Yeah.
I'm like, why does it matter? You never wore your hair anyway. But it did,
Yeah.
because now I felt like I had to,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
or it
Difference.
was I prefer to. I don't
Mhm.
want to. And so it really was a real big deal for me when I had to start waiting for, me to get on the right kind of medication that didn't have all these side effects and all of those things. So I can really understand the emotional, because it doesn't matter how everybody else say, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, girl, you could wear that style. Look at your features. Look at your cheekbones. Look at
Mhm.
I see big round head. Be quiet. No, no, not hearing that.
Beautiful big round head.
But I didn't see that. I'd be like, all I see is big round head, because that's where we go. We don't go to the positive. We
Right.
go
Right.
to the
Right.
negative of what this means to not have,
Right.
instead of embracing, like you said, beautiful big round head. Nah,
Yeah.
that wasn't even part of the vocabulary.
But so do
So
you think that is because, again, how we were raised and what we ourselves consider the standards in beauty, and first thing we think is, oh my gosh, people are gonna, they're gonna make fun of me, they're gonna laugh at me, that whole anxiety thing, that piece come in. People like to say, oh, they're not judgmental, but people are very judgmental. They
Right.
might not come to you and say, well, but they'll go somewhere else like, did you see her hair? Da, 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 da. So, it maybe that's why we have a hard time embracing it, because we're still programmed to that, what people think is beautiful. I mean, like, you got people out here getting breast implants and butt implants, and like you say, they're buying a weave to come all the way down to their back, to their butt, and all so that they could be beautiful, right?
Mhm.
But it goes back to, I think, just everything when we talk about what is beauty. Because
Hmm.
even, if we think about it, even within our race, and I'm not trying to talk derogatory about our race, but, you know, people talked about, ooh, look at her hair. Oh, she have nice hair. Oh, she has long hair.
Mhm.
So as little kids, I remember grown-ups talking about, oh, she don't have a ponytail. She have a pigtail. Talking about kids
Mhm.
and calling them pickaninny and stuff like this. And this was grown folks.
Yeah.
And it was because we have a mentality of ourselves of what it means even to have hair. I even had a cousin who married a certain man because his family had hair, thinking that would make her children have that kind of hair.
Amen.
But your genes still count. I'm sorry.
Exactly. I would say, yeah, she
So,
missed that class.
so we get caught up on, and I was so excited when the Good Hair, Bad Hair documentary came out,
Mhm.
because we really have been socialized that way. How do we determine what's good hair? How do
But
we
Mhm.
it's all
determine
good.
what's bad hair? It's because of how we were socialized.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
I
if
think
your
it's all
hair is
good, though.
coarse and thick, it's considered bad hair.
Mhm.
But if it is softer, curly, and wavy, it's considered good hair.
Mhm.
So that's just how we've been. But that thick hair, that's what I used to always want. Like,
I know you always
oh,
want.
Yes. Let me
that
tell you
hair that
something.
they could put that perm in, and that hair would just go, and it just stayed in place.
Yeah.
Mm. Now,
Yeah, I'm glad now that we're embracing our natural hair. I
I
have
do
yeah,
too.
my youngest daughter will be 18 in November, and she has never had a perm. And I'm like,
that's
I'm
right.
so proud of you.
That is
Wow.
And
awesome.
Yes,
yeah, I was like,
Yes.
learn how to manage what you have, and with
Yes.
not as much stress and all of that. And so I'm happy that she's done that.
right. I mean, I
Yeah.
love it. I wish I could get my hair to go in like a big afro, right? Because I just think it is so beautiful. I
Yeah,
do
she
when I
always talks
see it.
about Angel when she sees Angel hair, because when Angel really does what she's
Grows out her
supposed to
hair.
do, She
Mhm.
has her powder puff is like huge.
Yes.
Oh
And so I'm like, oh girl, Carol, look at your powder puff.
That's
yeah.
right. It's beautiful. It is
Yeah.
beautiful. And I think when we start realizing that we can't allow society to define for us what
Mhm.
is beautiful and what is not beautiful, then we'll be, a little, that'll ease some of the social anxiety.
Yeah.
So, would somebody that's being diagnosed and is starting their journey, what kind of advice would you ladies give to someone that is struggling with embracing the alopecia? What would your advice be?
I would say just don't focus on that. There are so many things in life. I think I got that when that doctor told me that day. I got it when he said it to me. Like there are so many other things you could be focused on, but definitely stay in prayer and just ask God to help you get that out of your mind, because I feel like the fact that you may not have the hair that you initially had, you do have options. See, I think a wig is your best friend.
It is
I have a
good.
different thought process about my condition now, but it did take me a long time to get here.
One of the things I would say is make sure you have someone to talk to. I mean, you can go on any of the alopecia sites, the National Alopecia Areata Foundation, and they have support groups. You need a support group because um, not everybody that's experiencing hair loss. Because if you look at Black women, what was our famous style? The ponytail, right?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't care whether you get married and it's up in an updo, it's in a ponytail. If you
Mhm.
couldn't get to the hairdresser, you would slick it back. And I come from the era of that black gel, styling gel.
Ooh, girl, yes.
That was
Yes,
some nasty,
Lord.
globby,
Yes, it
brown,
was.
whatever, right? But we could slick our hair down though, right? I mean,
Mhm.
pulling and brushing and pulling, get all that on there, tie it down, and
You
it
tie
look
it down.
right. Um, but then you look at us years later, and you don't have no edges. You don't have
None.
no edges trying to grow your edges back, right?
That's true.
So, but you still might, not still feel it as, my edges will grow back. But someone who has alopecia, like you said, all of her hair fell off everywhere. You got these patches that won't grow back. You going to the doctor doing all this, get in a support group, get in therapy, someone that's going to hear your heart, because we're not as the only time you're like truly as compassionate as you need to be is if you've been through it. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why they have MA and NA and all these A's, because people have gone through that and they could be a little bit more sympathetic. I've never
Mhm.
gone through, being addicted to hard drugs. So it's just like, oh, I care, but at some point it's like, come on, man, you gotta get on your feet. You gotta do what you're supposed to do. Whereas if you're in a space where people can truly relate because they've been there, or your therapist or whatever, you can get more of um, that ear that you're looking for. Because you might tell your girlfriend today, but you might be too busy, or I mean, not too busy, but too embarrassed or too in your feelings about it to talk about it as with somebody else as much as you need to talk about it. So
Exactly.
making sure that you have an emotional outlet and support group to help you deal with the emotional and psychological um, undertaking, as well as your medical team, like I said before, making sure you know all of your options, what's available, and going from there. And definitely lots of prayer.
Lots of prayer.
Lots of prayer and knowing your real identity. Hair will come and go, limbs will come and go, or whatever, but your creator still feels that you are the best thing since sliced bread.
That's right.
Created you. You're a
That's right.
masterpiece.
That's exactly right.
Definitely.
Tell you got any more questions?
I don't. I just I just want to say that I really appreciate the both of you coming and just telling us your story. Because as you said, this is a topic that's embarrassing,
Yeah.
that you don't want to share. You don't want everyone to know, oh, all this time, you mean you had to wear those wigs? So now, you have come and allow us to hear, but the viewers to hear, and them to be able to get hope and
Yeah.
know that, definitely you can overcome this. It doesn't feel good in the beginning, but you
Mhm.
can overcome it. It may
It's-
take time, and everyone's journey to getting to that space of being okay may
Mhm.
look different, may take different time frames, but reality is the destination is you can get there. And so again, I just want to say that as much as Coach Passion and I would have loved to do this show ourselves, we could not have given it justice because we don't live it.
Mhm.
We haven't experienced it. And so therefore it gives it more life and value to have the two of you here. So thank you
yes.
Thank you
again.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
It was
Yes.
a pleasure.
Thank
I
you.
definitely wanted to thank you for the platform to give more information to people going through this. Hopefully, what Dr. Hosey and I have said can give someone hope. I mean, in supporting a person with alopecia, or if you in fact have alopecia, and maybe you tuck this in your arsenal for for the future. Maybe you don't know anyone in your circle that has it, but you hopefully know how to support people when you do.
Yes, yes, most definitely. So I'm a recap just a little bit. We was talking about embracing alopecia, and alopecia is an autoimmune disease, right? Um, I'm not sure because I know I mentioned it, but I don't know if it goes into remission, if it can or if it can't. Um, Definitely, it can cause you to have low self esteem and messes with your self confidence.
Mhm.
It can cause social anxiety and make you feel, like you're all by yourself because you don't know who you can trust with the information. I'm just recapping.
Yeah.
Um, Depression. It can cause you to become depressed, right? And we've talked about the anxiety, and it can have an impact on your interpersonal relationships.
Yes.
Um, you know, it can
Indeed.
have a profound impact. You could cause you to be subject to bullying and teasing, all
Yeah.
of these types of things. But as um, Danny and Dr. Alicia has says there are coping mechanisms that you can use to help you cope. Buy a wig, um, go the medical route. There. What else? Am I missing something? Wigs,
I
medical
mean, knowing
route,
your family history,
knowing your family history.
yeah,
Um,
therapy and
but
outlets. Yeah.
right, talking to family and friends, or getting help from a professional to help you deal with the mental and psychological aspects of it.
Yeah.
And by all means, just know that you're not alone. There are support groups out there um, for alopecia. And Danny, did you give us a number for the?
No, but I did mention one of the resources is the National Alopecia Areata Foundation. That's www.naaf as in Frank.org. And
Mhm.
there are like a plethora of resources there as well.
Okay. Okay. And again, we are so honored and grateful and thankful that you beautiful women joined
Yes.
us tonight to shed light, and hopefully it touched somebody tonight. Somebody was able to take some gold nuggets away. And and if you want to reach out to author Dannie Dee. You can reach her at TikTok, Divine Connections 7, Threads, Divine Connections 7, Instagram, Divine Connections 7, YouTube, Dannie Dee, Divine Connections. And if you want to reach Dr. Alicia. You can reach her at AGHF Financial Solutions Incorporated at gmail.com. Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
Oh no, I'm listening to you.
Okay. No, because I see we holding up our book.
Oh
Hey.
yeah, I was just gonna say, and if someone, 47 powerful young ladies helped me write this book. I'm telling you, you need to pick it up. Seeing myself in her story. If you are interested, I mean, it's so many stories, triumphant stories about women being triumphant, and you can reach me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and get a copy of it.
And Dr. Alicia, do you have any closing remarks?
No, I just want to thank you, ladies, for giving us this platform again, and I
Yeah.
hope that we were able to help somebody who
Yes.
has just started the journey.
Yes.
It gets better. It gets better.
And that's what we're about.
Okay. Well, with that being said, I guess we can say good night. We love you guys. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you for
Thank you
viewing.
for viewing, being with us for this hour. We appreciate you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.